I have this recurring dream. I don't know why I have it, that I am at the Oscars, and it never starts before. It always starts at a certain point, and I'm sat in front of a grand piano on the stage, and the video is about to play the Who's Died This Year bit, and I have to play this piece. Dream only lasts, it feels like it only lasts a minute, but it's the most terrifying thing. And it's a weird recurring dream. I don't know why I have it. Why the Oscar?
Every life has a soundtrack. Join me as we invite guests to share their journey through music, one song at a time. 10 moments, 10 memories. I'm your host, Sean, and welcome to 10 Tracks.
Are you ready?
Welcome to 10 Tracks. My guest today is musician and composer who's made a career making music and has constantly proved to be extremely good at it. He's a personal friend. He's also known as the Notable Stranger. He's Mr. Glenn Robertson.
Hi,
Glenn,
Sean.
welcome to 10 Tracks.
Thank you.
Tell us where you are in the world today.
I am in southern Germany, just outside Nuremberg. And that's where I live. Yeah, that's where I live. Yes.
Okay. Let's go back a little bit. Where are you originally from? What area in the UK?
As my accent will indicate, I am English from the north of England, a place called Preston originally. But we've lived in Netherlands. That's where we met you, Shawnee.
Yes.
And we've lived in America. And now we live in Germany. So, Northern England to start with, hence the accent.
Any fun facts to share about Preston? God. It's close to Manchester.
It's close to. If you did a triangle from Liverpool, Manchester, the top of the triangle would be Preston. So we're only about 60 miles from, or probably less than that, from Manchester. So. Yeah, you still had the big city excitement of Manchester and the Las Vegas of the North, Blackpool, 20 miles away.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll talk about Blackpool in a bit. But tell us about, you're a musician and composer.
Yeah.
You've produced music, compose it, obviously. Now, when did you pick up your first instrument? How old were you to get started?
I was really quite late. I only started playing probably about 12 or 13. I didn't learn the piano, did keyboards. So, because we didn't have a piano in the house, it was a Yamaha PSR 37, I think, with 100 rhythms and 100 sounds. And you had a keyboard teacher for a bit who, God bless him, he's no longer with us, but he always insisted on making us learn Beatles songs, which for a 13-year-old kid is like, oh, really? It may as well have learned Chopin or something. It was about as interesting and as exciting. So he hand wrote out Popcorn by Hot Butter because he knew I liked electronic music kind of thing. So he very kindly wrote that out. So we learnt that. But I always had the problem that I would learn the songs in the week before and then just play them from memory rather than sight reading them. Which my son is having piano lessons at the moment and does exactly the same thing. So
it's hereditary.
Yes. So my sight reading is I mean, it's got better now, but then it wasn't very good. And I never actually did any of in England you have graded exams 1 to 8. So 8 is what is a holy grail in piano playing. And I never even took any of the graded exams, and then I traded in my Yamaha PSR 37 for a Yamaha DX27, which was a very complicated but basic synthesizer, and so it didn't have the rhythms anymore. So we had to tell the piano teacher or the keyboard teacher to the services were no longer needed. So in total, I probably had about a year of education, shall we say, in music, and then that was it. And I didn't do any theory exams either. I hated doing theory.
We may have to put some footnotes in the bottom of this podcast because of all of the references to the different technical or the technical terms for these synthesizers and keyboards that you are referencing.
If they don't know, Sean, that is their loss.
So tell me, how old were you, and when did you think, okay, I'm doing this as a job. This is actually going to be my work, and I'm getting paid for it, and I'm doing it, for real. And
I did do GCSE music at school, and you had to write 3 compositions for the exam. And I'd never written a song before in my life, and I did it. I went, that was quite easy actually. I never really liked it. And the thing that made me want to do what I did is actually one of the songs in the list. I don't know. Are we allowed to give away what's coming up, Sean, or should I? I'll skirt around the title and then.
Yes.
So it was a TV show,
okay.
And it was the pilot episode of this TV show. I still remember it like it was yesterday. The TV show opens with just a sequence playing, and oh God, how would it have been?
You can say the title of the TV show.
It was Street Talk. It was the original pilot of Street Talk, and the music was by Tangerine Dream, who would actually turn down doing Miami Vice. They got offered Miami Vice and Street Talk at the same time, and they turned down Miami Vice because they thought Street Talk had more legs, and that lasted one series or season. So
clearly, their manager didn't advise them well.
But the 16 episodes are just beautiful and perfect. And so, I was listening to that, and I never heard anything like it in my life before, and it just blew my small little head apart. And I just thought, oh my God, I cannot think of doing anything but that.
What was the first demo you came up with?
First demo was, I did I suppose my first demo was the 3 songs I did for my GCSE music, for which I got an E, as in A, B, C, D, E.
Yeah. And it doesn't go up as in better.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
The higher you go. I think we only had F.
F was lower. And then I think you got ungraded. So I was only 1 above. I think just the fact that I made a noise, I got 1 point. So because I was told the examiner didn't like synthesizers, so if I'd done it on a piano, I'd have been fine. But I stubbornly wanted to do it on my Yamaha DX27, and that's the grade I got. So I suppose my demos were my GCSE tapes, and I left school in the July, and I was going to go to Salford College to study sound engineering, to be a live sound engineer. And in between that, I used the tapes that I'd done for my GCSE to send to a few record companies, and one of them picked it up. So my demo was my GCSE tape, and they paid for it to be done in like a demo studio, so like to do a better version of it. And that's how I started. And so I went to Oldham College for 2 weeks, and then told the course tutor that one of my records had charted at like number, I don't know, it was in the top 200, top 75 or something like that. And
Mhm.
he
What year was this?
91 into 92.
Okay.
And yeah, he folded up the piece of paper with the print off on it and said, "Don't come back." I only wanted like 2 weeks off just to see how it went, but he told me not to come back, so I never went back.
Let's dive into your first track. This is probably the longest so far that we've had as a single track,
You're welcome, everybody.
46 minutes.
Yeah.
So people can listen to it in their own leisure time. But this is obviously, you've introduced me to him, even though I'd heard the name, but I wasn't that familiar with him. He's French.
Mhm.
I guess he's kind of like a French god here in France. I'm not too sure where he
Oh,
stands.
I don't. It's like that. It's like the thing with Kraftwerk in Germany. They're very poo-pooey about their own. He's far more popular outside of France than he is inside of France.
But still doing concerts in
Oh
Paris with
yes.
1 million, 2 million people, like
Uh,
outside, right?
I went to see him in La Défense, and it's officially 2.5 million, but it's now close. It's now been kind of slightly edited to about 3 million.
Yeah.
And then Eiffel Tower was 1.5, I think, million. Yeah.
So this is from 1990. Jean-Michel Jarre, Waiting for Cousteau,
Hmm.
where he's referencing Jacques Cousteau, the
Yes.
Jacques Cousteau. Um, 46 minutes.
Yeah. Most people, it's fading out, and people are still waiting for it to start.
I played it yesterday to my other half, and basically she said, play the bit that kind of is like maybe I might have heard that. And I was like, I've already it's in the middle. I skipped to like minute 26 and
Or
she's still like
when the piano part really lets go. No,
I was like
it's that I chose that song because it's my happy place. It's it took me a long time to get into it. When I got the album Waiting for Cousteau, and um, the tape version was shorter because you can't have that much time on the tape. So there was two. I think there was 22 minutes of tape version. Um, oh, and
the radio version.
yeah, the radio edit. It is my yeah. It took me ages to get into it, and then Jean-Michel uses it at the start before the concert starts. Instead of just playing generic music, it'll just have that on loop for an hour before or 2 hours before, and it's that anticipation, and it just brings me back to being it brings me back to being in La Défense and waiting for the sun to go down and the concert to start, and it just takes me back to usually being in France in the summer, with a massive outdoor event about to start that you don't know what's going to happen, and it's yeah, it just brings back happy memories, and it's the track I always go to just to shut your eyes and listen to something, and I mean, yeah, it's long, and to the casual listener, it doesn't sound like much is going on, but it's that Jean-Michel Jarre thing of there's little clever things going on in the background. There's great use of panning. There's little effect. It's not the same. It isn't the same thing over and over again. It evolves. It's I just genuinely think it's a beautiful piece of music. If you could actually, some people would argue it whether it is music or not, but it's at the extreme end of ambient, but it's just my happy place, and it's the thing I'll always go back to and listen.
So tell me a little bit more about Jean-Michel Jarre and what he means to you. So obviously this piece in particular, but then, his early works, which maybe he's more
Yeah,
famous for globally or internationally. What I mean, I think as a artist, you obviously you hear certain things in him, or you listen for certain things, especially as a fellow artist,
Yes,
compared to the average listener who just thinks, "Oh, this is nice," or "This is
yes,
kind of ambient music," or electronic music, or
yeah.
early electronic music, shall I say?
It's if you listen to it in its time frame of when 1976, when his first proper album came out, Oxygen, uh, his contemporaries at the time, Tangerine Dream and Kraftwerk and Vangelis, it did all sound a bit muffled or one-dimensional. It wasn't mixed very well. And then Oxygen came out, and it sounds 7 miles wide. It's got depth. It's got the production and the mixing of it is still to this day absolutely amazing. And that's always been the thing with Jean-Michel. He is the lighter side of electronic music, as in he has melody and structure and everything else. His songs are like kind of electronic pop songs in a way that melody is important and structure is important, whereas contemporaries it just tends to sometimes it's a good idea, a good 3 minute idea stretched to 8 minutes or something like that, and you just kind of get a bit bored of the repetition.
Hmm.
So, and it's a production. It's the I've always wanted to listen to his albums with the main melody and the main structure taken off and just listen to what's going on in the background, because the the attention to detail, the the placement and the panning and things like that is just it is beautiful. It is absolutely the definition of headphone music. Before that was
Where
a thing.
where's the furthest place that you've actually seen him and traveled to? Because I think I'm aware that you've kind of followed him on tour a few
Yes.
times.
Yeah, I did all of the European concerts, so that was quite easy. I was just around Europe, and it wasn't like it was every night. There were kind of there were a series of mini concerts, so it was quite easy. Where is it? I was going to go to Mexico, but that got cancelled. The show got cancelled. Where have I been? Everywhere. Hong Kong. Um, Moscow when we were friends. That brief interlude between
He was the bridge at the time.
he always was. Yeah, in fact, I'm seeing him. Oh, I saw him at the Paris Olympic closing ceremony. Uh, and I'm going to see him this summer in a few weeks' time in. Oh, I can't remember. It's either Stuttgart or the other one starting with S. I can't remember, but
In Germany.
yes, yeah. So it's, but he has slightly fallen off the cliff as far as it's not like I like everything he does. There is a cut off where him and his artistic collaborator, that's what he was called on the albums, party company, and the quality went through the floor. Absolutely, almost it. Well, it did instantly. So
Mm.
suspicions were raised, and he still produces music now, but he's got an obsession with dance music, and so and the attention to detail isn't there anymore. But God bless him. I'll always love him for what he did.
Okay. Track two on your list here. Now we're taking quite a turn
Hmm.
into more of pop.
Hmm.
This is from 1989, but it definitely sounds like 80s pop. It's from I guess this is quite they're huge producers
Yeah,
of pop music. Um, and it's This Time I Know It's Real, which I didn't
it's
know
for
was
real, Sean.
It's
This
for
time I
real.
know it's for real.
Donna Summer,
Yeah,
which is an interesting pick by Donna Summer because she's done some amazing stuff, her early
yeah,
stuff with Giorgio
yeah,
Moroder,
yeah.
which I thought was probably, I think is pretty cool that she's done her voice and the sound. But this sounds a bit like Rick Astley or Kylie with the drums that are very pop or kind of.
I'm looking deep into your eyes, Sean, to see if you're being cynical.
It's. it definitely has a nice beat to it.
How
And it's
old are you?
very and very, but still very Donna Summers. You hear her voice in there, which is it doesn't it's not taken away from who, her kind of long
Yeah,
history in her career. So
it's
what is it? Stock Aitken and Waterman, right?
yes. You forgot to mention in your introduction to it that it is the greatest pop song ever made.
It was number 3 in Finland. It
Yeah,
got to number 2 in Luxembourg, and
yeah.
it was number 6 in Panama. So there you go.
I know it's just the most perfect song. That is how if I was teaching pop music, that I would just go, there you go, kids, listen to that. That's how you do it. It's brilliant. It's got everything you need. It's got a cool bass line. It starts um almost there's no like slow introduction and everything else. And the key, and this was a Stock Aitken and Waterman trick, which I still use, the chorus and the verses are in different keys. So when it gets to the end of the verse, it just goes up slightly. I think up. I
The
think it's
chorus
even
goes
just.
up.
Yeah, I think it's only at one or two semitones. It's not a massive leap, but it just gives it that lift into the chorus. And especially on this song, you can hear it as she holds the note and bends into the next key as she goes into the chorus, which is just brilliant. It just gives it that lift. That's the bit that takes it from being a good pop song into a genius pop song. That lift in every time into the chorus is just brilliant. I'm not a big fan of the middle eight, but you know, I can live with the fact that it's a lazy middle eight, but um, it's still it's perfection. That song, it's absolute perfection. It's when Stock Aitken and Waterman were at the Imperial phase, and everything they did turned to gold, and it's an amazing it is an amazing record. It doesn't have to be Donna Summer. It
Yeah.
could have been anybody who'd sung it. It's the song rather than the singer that makes it.
Did anyone else get asked before or declined it, and then Donna Summers took it?
I don't know. I think Donna was interested in reviving her career at the time. So, as many were, the one thing you do learn in the pop industry is if you're flavour of the month, you'll get inundated with sad acts who are no longer top of the pops, trying to revitalise their career by getting the hot young producer of the time to produce their songs. Madonna being the
Yeah, she's
uh,
done it quite.
yeah,
Reinvent themselves.
yes, and share, and it's not slight if you can do it and do it well, but you do get the category C and category D acts thinking this is
Yeah.
the
I think
passport back in.
I would probably say the person who's been able to reinvent themselves the best and who's done it in a consistent way is probably David Bowie.
Yeah, see, I don't agree with that. Um, that he should be better than that,
But a,
basically.
but a lot of the changes he's done were still with some of the same producers and musicians who worked with him. So it was a lot of him changing in his early, like the Thin White Duke to Ziggy. He
That
still had a lot of the same people
Yeah,
working with
that's
him.
to me that's more cynical that you are doing it just to sound instead of having your own sound and sticking to it and modulating it to the current trends. But to me, it was always a really cynical move of getting young producers in with the same tired old musicians who are very competent but have no I'm not going to say feeling because that's wrong. No, well, no feeling for the current thing. So, if, for example, he was doing one in the early '90s, and oh yeah, I think we should make a Europop or a happy hardcore type sound, they'd just go and get some sample loops and put a
Hmm.
breakbeat underneath it, and it always struck me as being um, just trying too hard to be relevant rather than having your own sound I always felt sorry for anybody who was a massive David Bowie fan, because I'm sure there was dread when a new album came out. Oh Christ, where's he going now? And trying to like something when you veer off from your fan base. In the same way, to a certain extent, Depeche Mode did. They were very electronic, and then they went kind of goth rock. And Gary Newman's done it as well. And it's funny, you go to a Gary Newman concert, and there's all people of my age just want the hits with the synths, and then there's half the audience which want his new metal, Nine Inch Nails type sound.
Mm.
And trying to accommodate both is difficult, very difficult.
You just mentioned Depeche Mode,
Hmm?
which is track 3.
Yes.
We move into there. I would say they kind of created their own maybe techno or tech pop genre in a way, because
Yes. Yeah.
from the early 80s stuff that they did, it was quite unique. A little bit off because they weren't like very poppy. I think they were accessible, but I would say um,
Mm. They
very
had a
synth.
darker edge. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that as they evolved, probably the song you have here is "Never Let Me Down Again," which is one of off of one of their Music for the Masses. I think was
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
one of the biggest albums, probably that they hit. But this
Yes.
is the live version from LA, the Rose Bowl
Yes.
you picked.
It proves that synth can rock live, which is always a problem. That you they can sound very static, and
Mm.
uh, especially performing it in America. That's Depeche Mode were one of the few electronic acts that were popular in America. Um, it they it's you haven't got somebody with big hair and a guitar doing a stance at the front of the stage and playing a massive power chord and everybody going mad. You can't really do that with electronic music. So they amazingly did strike that chord. I mean, Dave Gahan, the lead singer, has that energy that you need. If it was the Pet Shop Boys doing it and Neil just stood there, it wouldn't have had the same kind of energy that the that Depeche Mode had. And so the live version of Never Let Me Down Again, just it absolutely rocks. It's got an amazing drum beat, and in the middle of this particular live version, it just plays the bass line for a couple of repeats, and it's just on its own, and it's just amazing. It's it's technically quite clever, because it's if right, we're going to get technical now, Sean. So pay attention.
Okay.
Uh,
Footnote.
yes, footnote. The bass line is a monophonic synthesizer, so it can only be played one note at once. And if you held down the note and tried to play another one, it either wouldn't sound or it would go, and it wouldn't know which note to play. And so they'd use that as a attribute and fed two notes into it at the same time, but one slightly delayed, I think there was. And so it's going, and it gives it that effect, which I've tried in my studio and takes forever. And I thought, no, I need to get some work done. I have to stop messing around trying to recreate it now. And it shows that electronic music can have energy and a real live feel about it, which is incredibly hard to do. So
Yeah.
I love it for that. It's it's really hairs on the back of your neck when it starts, kind of thing.
Well, I remember hearing them in the early 80s, around the same time a lot of the other bands from the UK that I got into. So like The Cure, Echo and the Bunnymen, and bands like that,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
more the indie alternative bands. And I remember going to school, and I would get picked up from a friend who's would drive to school, and so he'd take me to school with him, and he would have the cassette of Black Celebration.
oh
And
yeah,
so it's constantly he played that every damn morning in the car. And I remember whenever the song New Dress with like
yeah,
in the line is Princess Di is wearing a new dress.
yeah.
and I wasn't really that fixated with the Royals, to be honest. But I just remember hearing that song and it just kind of got into my head. But um, in the last probably 5 years, I really got back into Depeche Mode a lot. Early
Hmm.
stuff,
Hmm.
like Blasphemous Rumors and
Yeah.
Grabbing Hands and all that. I think their music stands time.
Yes.
Some stuff sounds really 80s or
Oh
really
yeah.
certain genres, whereas I think they still can stand alone to what they're and I do think you mentioned dark. I think that's what probably appeals to me now because they weren't just poppy and like let's life's Skittles,
Yeah.
um, but they also they shouldn't really have cracked America in a way because they were some of the songs were written from a male to male kind of relationship,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
which is quite strong
Yeah.
and bold back for the 80s to be so pop or on pop radio.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so they definitely were pioneers in their time for what they did. And the music, I think you can hear it's very electronic. And I would
Yeah.
say Martin Gore probably wrote or composed most of the songs, lyrics and music, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But it was, I mean, Violator it just changed the game as far as mixing and
Yeah.
everything else. It's just that is a perfect album, and it benefited from it. Weirdly, Depeche Mode benefited from Vince leaving and getting, oh God, what's his name? It's not Fletch because no, he didn't do anything. Oh God, I can see him now. Oh God, the one they got who he was a classically
Andy?
trained.
Was his name
Yeah.
Andy something?
Oh, hang on, I'm gonna have to Google Sean, or else it's gonna
Okay.
look.
This is where we take a commercial break and
Okay.
introduce our sponsors. If we had a sponsor, this is where we would put them in at this strategic moment.
And then you
Um,
have to make it sound Dave Gerhardt,
this
Martin got Andy Fletcher. No.
Andy, that's what I was thinking of, Andy Fletcher.
Yeah, no, but he didn't do it. Hang on. Alan Wilder. Oh my good lord. Alan
Can't believe you
Wilder.
you forgot that. That's
Yes, I know it's terrible. Yeah, absolutely terrible. But he was a classically trained pianist, so the songs would get written, but
mm.
he would orchestrate them electronically, and that's the thing that really made them go to the next level sonically. That I mean, as good as Vince is not classically trained, and you can't. I know I went back to that. I don't have a grade exam, but I his classical training really shows through in arrangement and just yes, arrangement. It's arrangement is the second most important thing in a song. So once you've got a good tune, the arrangement is a very close second. So he was the one that really made it just stand out from everybody else.
We move on to track 4 on your list. I was a little bit at first surprised about because this is the singer from Thin Lizzy,
Hmm.
which I assume you're not really into Thin Lizzy.
No, no,
Okay.
no. Boys are back
We
in town. I think that's the only thing I can mention.
and then Midge from
Yes.
Ultravox.
Yeah.
Was he also a part of the Band-Aid? Was he
Yes.
behind that
He
somehow?
wrote
Okay.
he wrote the song.
He did. That's what I
Yeah.
thought. And I
Yeah.
was but this is Phil Lynott. Lynott?
Lynott.
Lynott.
We always pronounce it Lynott. It might be Lynott. I don't know.
It's called Yellow Pearl. And I now, after doing more research,
Hmm.
find out where this link is, which I'm assuming is the link that you have for this or your admiration for it,
Yeah.
is from this TV show in the 80s, or it started earlier than that,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this version was probably from the 80s
Yeah.
in the UK, which barely got any kind of traction in the US. I don't recall it, only from seeing things where I know a lot of the artists that I was into from Europe or in the UK would make their debut, and if they were on this
Oh
chart
yeah.
showing program, that was kind of like they made it. That was one of
Yes.
the kind of like for
If
making
you're
it.
on Top of the Pops, you could guarantee your song would go up the charts.
Yeah.
It was the thing that every single buying kid watched. Anybody who had an interest in the charts.
When did you start watching Top of the Pops?
Probably earlier than I can remember. 7 o'clock Thursday night, Top of the Pops.
You still watch it now?
No, it's not on anymore.
No.
It's got it, no. The musical landscape has changed.
That's a
And
very polite way of saying
yeah, it's like everybody has a favorite Bond. Everybody has a favorite Top of the Pops theme tune. Um, Anybody who's a bit older than me prefers the Led Zeppelin "Whole Lot of Love" version, which has got a cool dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
So that is cool. But I mean, I heard that every week for at least 10 years, and while there was different versions of it, so there was the intro, the theme tune, the intro to the TV show, but when they'd split the chart into 40 to 20 and then 20 to 10, and so there was probably three charts that they'd read out, and they had like an instrumental version in the background, and it would just be what I now know are Selena string machines playing the melody. That's the footnote again, Selena string machine, and it just sounded. Oh, I absolutely love it. I love that tune, and I went to see Midge about 2 months ago in Nuremberg, and he drops that song. He played it in the European leg of the tour, and he drops that song outside of England because he doesn't think anybody knows it. So I was heartbroken because I'd seen the set list, and so all right, here we go, next song, come on. And he did it go as he does it as a concert. He plays like the first half of the Yellow Pearl, and then goes into something. If I Was, I think it is. He goes into, but no, he just started with If I Was and didn't do the Yellow Pearl bit, which I was very disappointed about. If Midge, you ever listened to this, I was heartbroken. But he played Fade to Grey, so I was very happy that he played Fade to Grey.
What so I mean, I think this music these 3 to 4 tracks probably influenced some of your early work that you composed and wrote, right?
Yeah, I was exposed to synthesizers in the 80s because everybody was, but I mean, when I was a kid, I always wanted ABBA albums for Christmas, like the new ABBA album, and I had a little Yamaha PSR 37 organ, and you'd hear Benny's synths in ABBA songs, especially the Visitors album is very synth heavy. And I was just saying, I wonder what home keyboard he has, not thinking there was anything called synthesizers and you program them yourselves and everything else. So I was always fascinated with electronic sounds, and then when I found out that there were millions of them and you could spend a small fortune on them, and it just opened up a world. It is strange how it did influence me, and then you get more into the technical side of what's making that sound.
How many keyboards or synthesizers do you currently have now?
All right, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, nearly there, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 41 in here, hardware, I think that's all of them, 41 in here, and probably another 400 virtual ones on my computer. Because you can have that's the great thing about computers nowadays, that they can model old synthesizers. So if you can't afford an old Moog synthesizer, there is a plug-in virtual version which has been modelled on it, which you can't tell if you can get an old patch sheet from 1970 with all the settings for the synthesizer, and you can program that into the virtual one, and you can't tell the difference.
And how many of those are you physically playing or using in when you're writing?
They
That's
all do.
quite obsessive or
Yeah,
excessive to have.
a lot of them are vintage machines, so I have them for um,
So it's like a museum
personal. No,
that you keep.
no. I mean, I've always wanted is a machine called an EMS VCS 3, which is what Jean-Michel Jarre's. It was Jean-Michel Jarre's first synthesizer, and is. I mean, you can play a melody on it. It takes a bit of tuning, but it's mainly used for, or if you listen to any Jean-Michel Jarre record, all the little burbles and beeps and pews and all the kind of sound effects in the background are 99% done on VCS3s. So I always wanted one of them, and I finally got one, and then I got the Synthy as well, which is so I've got two of them. But it, I do use them. They are used occasionally in what I'm doing now, but they, but yeah, just for sound effect. I've got a load of string machines. I've got a Mellotron. The Tron's used quite a lot actually. For the non-initiated, the Mellotron is from the 60s, and it is each key is represented has its own individual tape which lasts 8 seconds. So you push a key down, and it pushes a player head onto a tape, and the tape is wound past, and it sounds really weird. Notable examples of the Mellotron are the Moody Blues Nights in White Satin, the start of Strawberry Fields, the flutes by the Beatles. That's a Tron. King Crimson, they were Mighty Tron users, and Rick Wakeman, who played the Mellotron, which is the strings on Major Tom by David Bowie. They are so everybody knows what a Mellotron is now.
We don't need a footnote for that.
I can now going forward, Sean, I can provide footnotes, audio footnotes as we go along.
Excellent. We go into track 5. Now, this is a bit of a shift in the sounds and probably influencing you currently. I would say more of your compositions are leaning into this direction, which are almost more traditional classical.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
So this is Time to Say Goodbye, or from Timeless, or it's I don't know the Italian name for it, but it's Andrea Bocelli, but this is with Sarah Brightman, and
this is the original.
I guess he wrote it first in '95, and then he did a English Italian version with Sarah Brightman in '97.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this, because obviously this was probably, would you say this kind of skyrocketed her in a way with?
Well, I mean, she did Starship Trooper, so she was already stratospheric before, and she was Christine. She was the original Christine in Phantom, so she was. I mean, she was known and quite famous.
Well, that's I guess music from what do you call it, in shows?
Yes.
Whereas. This is more poppy classical. She was kind of moving into that direction,
and she did, and her albums are oh my God, I can't even imagine how much money is spent on their albums of that time. They were so beautifully produced. But this song, if you break it down, it's a very repetitive melody that doesn't really change at all the way through. But it builds. It's like the classic chanson française songs of the 60s that just build and build and build and build. And by the end of it, it's just a full operatic performance. It's a brilliant song. It's got lyrics that half of people can't understand, and the voices work really well together. It's just a beautiful, beautiful song, and I could listen to that 100 times. It's just beautiful.
And I think how did this influence some of your current work? Because obviously this
Uh,
it's very
well,
classical, but also with the uh, I guess singing is in the English, so it's not trying to sound
yeah,
operatic, but at the same
yeah.
time,
I don't think it influenced what I do now. I think there's other influences that are more relevant to what I do now. I mean, there's always been light opera, shall we say, Gilbert and Sullivan. That was probably the time to say goodbye of its day. So yeah, I like to listen to stuff that, despite this list, I usually like to listen to stuff that I don't do because
mhm.
then you're not listening to it technically. You're just listening to it for a song, like our mutual admiration for Suede.
Yes.
Is I could never do Suede, though I was heartbroken when, well, I don't know what his name is, when the keyboard player, when they introduced the keyboard player. I was heartbroken. I wasn't asked, but I
Neil
would never.
Quadling.
Yeah, I would never fit into the skin tight jeans. So, so I
You
would,
and me both.
yeah. And I really like Muse as well. So it's sometimes I like to listen to stuff that's not what I
So
do.
that's when you get to switch off and just
Yeah,
listen as for pleasure and as a fan
yeah,
and not be picking
yeah.
the notes
Separating
apart
stuff
and
out and separating the mix out of my head and things like that. Yeah, it is a problem, and you can't. It's like if a magician goes to see another magician, they can't just watch it. They're trying to work out how it's done.
yeah.
So it's the same thing.
And it's good that Suede just give you absolute pleasure and nothing nothing else.
There's a new album out, Sean, or
I
coming
know.
out soon. I'm very excited.
Going into track six, we go back a little bit to another kind of genre that you are very influenced by, and I guess you mentioned a few of these other bands earlier, but Tangerine Dream, you were talking about them, and Street
Yeah.
Hawk.
Yes.
This is this song, and I think the album is called Le Parc.
Yes.
And this is the track Le Parc, which was, I guess, the whole album is based off of different parks in different cities,
Yeah. Yeah.
something like that. Kind of a 14 studio album. But this would be a prog rock band, right? No?
No. No. They are Berlin School. I mean, they got the prog
German.
tag. Yeah, a Berlin School is a type of electronic music where it's um, sequencing, improvisation over sequencing. So you'll have a sequencer that's going dum 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 dum, and then you improvise over the top of it, and tracks can last 10, 15 minutes.
Like
Um,
layer after layer after layer.
yes, but with always with a central theme that they were, and you can alter the play the sequence backwards, forwards, and things like that. So there is slight variation. But no, were they prog? They got most of them got tagged with the prog, but a prog band to me is a keyboard player, a guitarist, and a singer. That's a prog band to me.
With was Pink Floyd considered prog rock in the beginning?
Yeah, but then they kind of backed away from the prog mantle. So yes, and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. They're the early Genesis is it's the pomp and the overblownness, which really probably yes is the biggest of the proggers because they had Rick Wakeman as the keyboard player, so it was always going to
Right.
be um, over the top and everything else. But yeah, the track Le Parc is tragically because it was used as the theme tune to Street Talk, and as you'll notice if you listen to it, is mixed in mono because it was used for a TV show. So they obviously thought, "Oh, sorry, we're not doing a stereo mix," which is weird at the time, even then. But yeah, so the only version we have is in horrible mono, which doesn't suit it at all. But yeah, that is it's the album version of Street Talk, so it's the audio version of Street Talk. So it I will always listen to that. And there's a really long intro because it's got like a plane flying over you, which seems to take forever to start. And so when you put it on, when it pops up on your playlist, and you're like, there's like 3 or 4 seconds of silence, thinking, "What's this?" And you hear this jet engine coming from seemingly 25 miles away, and in real time it gets towards you, and you think, "Oh God, just get a move on." But it's Street Talk, and the score for Street Talk was for an American mainstream TV show having uh, just sequences running and improvisation. I mean, God, how they got that past all the producers and the network and everything else, I will never know. But thank God they did, and thank God that there is just the 13 or 14 episodes or whatever it is for us to enjoy, and it was never watered down, or God forbid, like most series, the main act does the first series and then they sub it out to somebody else, and they just get all the sound sets and stuff, and like you get told just do another 20 episodes sounding like that, and then that's when it gets lazy. So thank God that it exists as as its own perfect little bubble of creativity.
We move on to track 7. And this is, I guess, from a TV series. This is what I found, East of Eden, which is from John Steinbeck book, and they was also iconic from a film that introduced the world to James Dean. But this is, I think, from the television series. Lee Holdridge conducted this score.
I've never seen the East of Eden. I only know it because it's the music that David Copperfield does his flying sequence to.
Okay.
Which I have seen twice live, and
Okay.
I watch on YouTube probably more often than I should, and it is just the most perfect example of music and setting and theming put together. The music, I didn't know that it was East of Eden for a long time, and I thought it had been written specially for it because it just fits beautifully. I have seen a man fly, and
Yeah.
and it is the most beautiful thing you could ever see. I went to see the other week two German magicians, the Ehrlich brothers, who are on a scale with David Copperfield for scale, and it was in an arena and everything else. And they do a flying sequence at the end, which is very similar to David's, but just didn't have the impact. You just go, oh yeah, the flying look. And the David Copperfield flying is, for me, an emotional experience. It is just beautiful. It really is. So yeah, it's just because it's from that and no other. It's a beautiful piece of music as well, but it's again it's the memories it creates, so the feeling it creates when you see it, of seeing David Copperfield flying in front of you, Sean.
Yes, it's magic for you, right? We talked about the north of England and Blackpool. Tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about your relationship with Blackpool now, and or you have been over the last few years,
Oh,
and what you've been producing and composing.
um, I do the music for the Hot Ice Show, which is like for your international listeners, is like Disney on Ice, or what's the other one called? What's the other big touring one? Holiday on Ice.
Yeah.
Um, it's in its own purpose-built ice arena, which is the oldest ice arena in the world. It doesn't tour. You have to come. You have to go and see it.
So it's
And
synchronized
so I did music for,
skating to the music.
yeah, and it's not traditional like Torval and Dean type skating. There's got 20 odd skaters and a massive lighting rig and different costumes in every single number, sets on stage, and it's an amazing thing to see. And I'm incredibly lucky. When I was a kid, you went to Blackpool to go and watch Hot Ice, and it was, being in the north of England in the 80s, it was like it was showbiz. It was Las Vegas. It was a big, massive production that was nearby, and so you go and see it every year. And I never thought for 1 minute that that was a job of doing the music for it. And
How technical or complicated was it to kind of create the pieces for the skaters to
to
skate to?
start with, it was incredibly complicated because I just had no idea what I was doing. I was asked to do one song because it was short one year, and I did one song and everybody liked it. And then I did four the next year. Then the year after, I was doing all of them. So it is quite a lot of work per year.
Hmm.
But oh god, I love doing it. And there's it follows a similar. Every year is a different theme. So this year it's called Hot Ice Excess. It's been called Rhapsody. It's been called Utopian. So there's always a big opening number, which lasts 6 or 7 minutes, or even 10 minutes sometimes. There's a pop song, there's a ballad, there's a tango. The producer loves a tango. I have done so many tangos, and it's painful, but they're always, I modern them up, so it's not like a very traditional tango. So it's tango feel and pace, but it'll have drums in it and synths and stuff like that. And sometimes we haven't got one this year, but sometimes most years there's a classical rehash. So it's been Romeo and Juliet before now, and
Mm.
God, I can't. Do you know what? I can't even remember. Lots of different
We'll edit
classical.
that out.
Yeah, lots of different classical pieces, like the big bombastic classical pieces, or operas. I've done Carmen, so I've edited down a 2 hour show to just over 12 minutes. So I have to get. So what I tend to do is I get a copy of the original score and sit there and listen to it and making notes of the bits that everybody. Because that's the problem. If it's a 2 hour Carmen, I could play you 80% of it and you wouldn't know what it was.
Hmm.
It's like every classical piece. People just know the strong melody bits. So I just go through it, make notes, and then get a copy of the original manuscript, the dots, the music, the sheet music, and weld them together, because 9 out of 10 times they're in different keys and different tempos. So to make it all sound like it's one. I'm going to use the word mega mix, but you know what I mean. So it's one
Yeah,
continuous thing that flows really
like
well.
a medley.
Yes, that's a good word.
Yes.
I have to do that. And then I've got to orchestrate it all, reorchestrate it, and play it on my computer with all the orchestral libraries I have. And so you don't just play it; you've got to put the little things, vibratos and legatos in, and different playing styles to make it sound as real as possible. Um, so yeah, uh, do that, and I genuinely love doing it. It's a highlight when I go and see the producer Mans, and we discuss what we're doing for next year. Because and there's always a pop song, there's always a dance song. My
Mm.
lovely singer Ruby is very tolerant of my last minute changes and things like that. And in fact, last night, I sent everything for this year. I'm slightly late this year, but so yeah, it'll be the opening in July, which I can't go to because that's when I'm going to see Jean-Michel Jarre. So I'm missing the opening night, which is terrible. But Jean-Michel wins. Jean-Michel will always win.
What comparing this type of work to stuff that you've done, say, commercial or even soundtracks where you've had to create or work on from a film or
Yeah, yeah.
TV, just how does that compare when you're following, I guess, a storyline. It's the same or similar
It's the same
storylines.
thing. If you're doing music for picture,
Hmm.
then the cuts or the places in the music are predetermined. So that is more difficult because you have to adapt to them rather than the other way around. And
Right.
so you can't. And sometimes cuts editors don't understand musical timing, so a cut might happen on beat two of a bar, and thinking, oh, well, you can't change really like that. So it can. You have to do a lot of clever um, use of time signatures and things like that and then they re-edit it, and then you have to cut 14 seconds out of this. Okay, so it is stressful. I used to do it, and I really kind of turn that stuff down now because I'm I can't be bothered basically, and I used to, the reason I used to do other stuff is because I get bored doing pop songs. There's only so many things you can do in 3 minutes, and it has to have an intro, it has to have a first verse, it has to have a chorus, and it used to bore the. It used to get really boring. So I had my outlet of doing other like music for picture and TV commercials and stuff like that, which you were allowed a bit more creative freedom. But doing the in comparison to the hot ice score, and I do when they have new rides. Again, it's something else I didn't know that happened. That rides have music, big
I have a
big
theme tune for that ride.
yeah, and atmosphere and everything else. When you walk around the theme park, the newer rides, the big roller coasters and things like that, you enter a world of the ride in the queue
Hmm.
system. So the queue system will have its music, and it's building the tension and stuff like that. And then in the station, there'll be more aggressive, like a tension thing. And then when you leave, there's a kind of relief thing. So I've done. Oh my god, how many have I done of them now? One, two, three. I've just this week it was released on Spotify, the score, the last one. So I've done four of them, and I absolutely and there's a fifth one for next year. I absolutely adore doing that because as long as you don't, the owner of the park, we kind of have a meeting and say, "Oh, this is what we're thinking. The theming of the ride will be," and you go off and you can do whatever you want as long as you don't do thrash metal. Um,
Unless
uh,
that's what the ride
Unless that's
consists
what
of.
the ride needs, but they usually want epic um, semi-symphonic kind of stuff. So
Mm.
you can do whatever you want. It's like the one ride I did. There was over an hour of music and different effects, and the music carried on through the ride. It was a boat ride. It was Valhalla, so it's Viking based. So I wanted to do like a. I wanted it to sound well, I think the brief was that it sounds contemporary, but like an alternative universe. So
Hmm.
I didn't have to use traditional instruments like lutes and things like that. So it kind of sounds semi-traditional, but quite modern at the same time. But the music carries on through. There's different zones, so it's like a story. It's a prog rock album. That's what I always say, that you can do story albums like War of the Worlds or something. You're telling a story through music, so you can be as free and as um, you can make it as long as you want. You know, and you get paid a standard fee. So if you want to blow all your money on having a choir and things like that, then you can do. And it I absolutely it's just such a and knowing how many people hear it and knowing that people love it and it like I said, the parks usually release it on streaming, so people love it and send you messages or messages that you've ruined their childhood or something like that. So the theme park community are very vocal in their opinions. They're like sci-fi geeks, If something's not right, you will know.
You've got your own Marvel fans.
Yeah, yeah.
Track 8. This is a piano duo, Ferrante and Teicher.
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 Teicher. Yeah.
Okay, I think they're American, both passed now, but they've done stuff with, I think, or covered like The Apartment and Midnight Cowboy. But from what I understand, they were quite unique in to experiment with the keyboard sounds or making
Yeah.
pianos with sort of stranger sounds. So, what is it with those guys that you?
I'm a big fan of Liberace. And so essentially you've got two Liberaces on stage. So
Okay.
double the Liberace is if anybody has Netflix, there's a video, a film at home with Liberace, and it was probably made in the early 70s. Just watch it. It's just brilliant. I love Liberace. Um, so Franti and Taisha were dual pianists, so they were obviously both on stage at the same time. And a fascinating fact: both their pianos had to be tuned slightly away from each other because the way frequencies work, if you have exactly the same frequency at the same time, it'll cancel each other out. So
Okay.
they discovered that the pianos were making really strange noises at concerts, and it's a billion to one chance. But if they technically struck the same key at the same time, there would be silence because they would cancel each other out. It's a very technical thing. It never happened, but it always sounded really weird. So both the pianos are tuned slightly apart from each other. So
Mhm.
and so that gave it a really rich sound. And I discovered this song because my dad had it on an LP. And when you're a kid, you're just going through your parents' LP collection and just putting random stuff on. It
Yeah.
was, I think this was the opening number, the first song on the album. So it's a musical version of an instrumental version of Exodus, which Don Black I think wrote the lyrics for, but it's an instrumental version. It's just a beautiful, beautiful song,
Hmm.
and it's really well played. The piano playing is phenomenal, very very showboaty like Liberace. You won't get classical pianists playing it like that usually, but it's to entertain the masses. So it's very showboaty piano, but it's really really nice. And I have this recurring dream. I don't know why I have it. That I am at the Oscars,
Okay.
and it never starts before. It always starts at a certain point, and I'm sat in front of a grand piano on stage, and the video is about to play the "Who's Died This Year" bit, and I have to play this piece, and I
So
don't
that's
know
you on stage doing the
the
playing to the
immemorial bit,
memorial. Yeah.
and it always starts just as like the house lights are going down, and I'm sat there, and it's a two-hander piece, it's a four-hander piece, so it's going to sound rubbish without the other one playing the piano as well. and it's and I always like I mean I can play it a bit, but it sounds rubbish because I'm not Franti or Teicher or Liberace, and yeah, that dream only lasts. It feels like it only lasts a minute, but it's the most terrifying thing, and it's a weird recurring dream. I don't know why I have it. Why the Oscars? Why? What it's it,
This sounds like a episode part 2 where we have to unpack this
yes.
this dream.
Welcome to Dream Thoughts with Sean.
Your 10 most reoccurring dreams.
I don't have. I always thought people who had recurring dreams were. I don't usually have them, and it's just this weird dream I have that I'm at the Oscars and it's a memorial bit. It's I can't tell you who's died. It's not like I'm looking into the future. Like, oh, George is looking ill.
What
to
were
be
the
having
lottery
George.
numbers for that day? We go to track 9. This is another composer who writes soundtracks quite an incredible film that this is from. I was a big fan. I remember seeing it when I was young. Didn't understand anything about it. Seemed weird, but I was a fan of Harrison Ford from his Star Wars stuff, so that just made me think. But it's super noir. And then I watched it again in a high school film class. We had a
Yeah,
film appreciation, so this was very film noir. And Ridley Scott, I think, is the director, if I remember. But
yeah.
this is by
Vangelis.
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 Vangelis if you're Greek, Vangelis to everybody else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tears in Rain, which has quite a long monologue mixed into this
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. It's
Um,
it's I've seen Blade Runner. It's the worst film ever made, Sean. I'm sorry. It's boring. Oh God, it's such a boring film. But it has the greatest score ever made on it. I think that's probably when a lot of people first heard synthesizers. And Tears in the Rain. I mean, I could have chosen any really off the Blade Runner score, apart from the
because
one with
he's
the
also done Chariots of Fire, right? He's
yes,
quite,
yeah.
I think he was
Which I
famous
don't
for that first.
I don't think fits. When you watch Chariots of Fire, it's set in the 1920s, and there's this electronic score. I mean, Chariots of Fire is a beautiful song, but the rest of the score just doesn't fit. You don't have synths all over a film set in the 1920s. It just, to me, it's not. It takes you out of believing you're in that time frame. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, so I could have chosen any of the Vangelis of the Blade Runner score, apart from the one with the saxophone on it, which oh, I hate that one. But Tears in the Rain the most because it's that thing again of people thinking that synthesizers are cold and emotionless, and to me that has real emotion. It's obviously the playing as well, the lightness of touch of Vangelis uh, playing style, but it has emotion in it. It's beautiful. The Roland VP. Hang on, what is it? I've got one, so I can. I'm standing up, Sean. Don't worry. The Roland VP 330 string machine, which just with the world's biggest reverb on it, just doing these beautiful layered like chords and strings, absolutely beautiful. The Yamaha CS80, which I don't have because they're very expensive, and there's not very many of them, and they don't work very well. But that's the trademark Vangelis sound, that brassy sound that was also on Chariots of Fire. That is Vangelis' trademark sound. But yeah, and when you add the narration on it, it's beautiful. It really is emotional, and it just you actually feel sorry for the Rutger Hauer. Is that his name, Rutger Hauer?
Yeah, Rutger
Yeah,
Hauer, the Dutch
yeah,
actor.
yeah. You actually feel sorry for his character, even though in the once I've seen it, he wasn't very nice and stuff. But it's yeah, and that's the power of music, whether it's electronic or orchestra or whatever. It's the feeling you put into it, but it proves that synths can be emotional as well, and it's just a beautiful piece of music.
It is. He also composed the 2002 World Cup theme or anthem.
Oh, did he? I never knew that.
Yeah. Would you ever consider doing a anthem or something that has to be used in some type of big show or game?
Oh, now Formula One about 3 or 4 years ago got a theme tune, and when it came out, you kind of thought, yeah, that's not very good. That
Disappointing.
yeah, and now everybody can think da, 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 and it's really good. And so you, with anything like that, you've got to ride the wave of I don't like it until
Yeah.
it gets into the psyche.
Match of the Day, I think, has it too.
Does it?
I think they have a theme or they have music.
Yeah, but that's about 40 years old, 50 years old. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, so everybody knows it. But if when you're introducing something new, it's a poison chalice for a bit. You've got to ride that wave of apps. People don't like stuff. It's like when Hans did the new um, Blade Runner.
Hans Zimmer for those.
Oh yeah, Hans, who people don't know him personally. uh, um, he that's a poison chalice. I would never go anywhere near redoing.
Yeah.
Blade,
So
and he does do a version of Tears in the Rain, and so I've only listened really closely to that, and it's got more oomph. I'll give it that, but it hasn't got that emotion. It's really weird.
so what if NASCAR contacted you to do a theme for them?
I can't play a banjo, Sean.
They need multiple
Uh, during
ukuleles
banjos,
and-
yeah, fiddle. I mean, you depends what they want to do with it, really, and how much it is, how much they're paying.
What about
eh,
wrestling?
it, I only really associate myself with blue chip things, so.
What Ford
It-
F-150 decides to have
yes,
a theme
Bill Ford
to their
tough.
new truck.
Yeah, but they would insist on a guitar. They would, and then, you'd have
Never
to have a
know.
rock guitar, and then
You can turn them.
yeah. I think you've got to feel it first, and wrestling or NASCAR. Yeah, it would. I mean, I'd give it a go if the money was right. I'm easily bought. That's what we're taking away from this.
There's virtual guitars that you can incorporate.
Oh, I
into
have,
that.
and I've been before now. I've been complimented on my guitar playing,
Wow.
and
Congratulations.
it was the computer, and I mean I still played the notes to a keyboard, but it's all the little slides and everything else. And I never knew you could play the guitar. Yeah.
Track 10, take us home with this. This to me, I wasn't familiar with them. I think they're from the north, from Lancashire.
Originally, yes, but they were nationally. They were the
Would
biggest
you?
thing.
I'm not comparing them. I'm just using as a reference
Yeah.
from my own
Yeah.
knowledge. Morecambe and Wise. Would this be kind of a similar type of duo?
Yeah, they were. They were more. Eric and Ern were clever, quicker. Especially Eric was quick with the ad libs and stuff like that. But Cannon and Ball were big in the 80s, and like all entertainment acts of the time, they had a signature tune, which is this, and it's just
We'll be okay.
Together We'll Be Okay. Yeah,
Together.
it's a happy song. I challenge anybody to listen to that, and it's not very long, and not be happy at the end of it, not have a little spring in your step. I remember they were on TV show. In England, you had something called summer season, so mainly seaside towns in the UK have these grand old Victorian theatres, and to entertain the people who were staying in the resort during the debatable British summers, you had a lot of indoor entertainment. So they would have stars of the day. It would be a bill. So Cannon Ball would be the top of the bill. So they'd do 10 minutes at the start, and then come on just before the end and do the full act. And then you'd probably have a special act like a juggler or something, a magician. But they were all cascading down the bill. So you had the up and coming. You might have somebody who won Search for a Star or a local talent thing doing the singing, and so it was a full 2-hour show, a variety acts, and then everybody had come to see Cannon and Ball, and I went to see him in Blackpool, and as a kid, I never laughed so much in my life. It was absolutely hilarious, and they were. You can't describe how big they were. They had a TV show that was top of the ratings. There was a documentary on them a few years ago, and they said, especially they lived near Blackpool, and so they get a car from the theatre, and the whole of the seafront was just a sea of people, just all trying to get just to see them. It was
See them.
it was unbelievable how popular they were, and they even made a film called The Boys in Blue, and they were massive. And I remember there's a radio DJ on UK radio called Chris Morrells, and I was listening to him, and he's similar age to me, so all references are usually. And they loved Cannonball. I think they'd had him in the studio a few months earlier, and I was sat down here in my studio listening to. I have the radio on usually, and my Sky News alert, my news app, flashed up. Bobby Ball dies he had COVID, I think, or complications from COVID, and it just flashed up, and then Chris Miles was in the middle of a record, and it was a silence for about 10 seconds, and then he just started playing this song. And I was in tears. I was in absolute tears. And loads of people were texting into the radio station saying, "Oh my God, I've just found out. That is awful." It was just such a shock. And for a national radio station that primarily plays,
Pop.
Well, no, Radio X. He's on Radio X, which is all rock and guitar based music. So, it's a hard listen for the segments. To play together will be okay, and not I was in absolute floods of tears. It was so emotional to hear that when you just found out that the curly haired one had died. Bobby Ball.
Glenn, where's the best place for people to find you or to connect with you?
We can come around my house. I'm usually in. Or you can, failing that, I'm on Twitter, because I refuse to call it the other thing, but I don't do very much on there, which is @himtns, and Instagram, which is The Notable Stranger, I think. Is it? I don't know. Hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on. Is it? Let me check.
It is.
All right. So it's @The Notable Stranger. All one word.
What? You don't have a website?
No, I do, but it's just because I can have my email address. There's nothing on it.
Yeah. But there's also some of your tracks that you've composed from, say, Pleasure Beach, etc. They'll be on Spotify.
Yeah, and if you can find them, good luck, because of the way that the coded. I don't release them. It's the way it works with stuff like that. If they had to pay me PRS, I would buy the Parc within about 6 months, because they have to pay on the amount of people who hear it, and so it would be quite expensive for them. So with all things like that, it's a one-off buyout. So they own the song, they own the track, and they can do whatever they want. So they choose to put it on Spotify. So I think it's credited to Blackpool Pleasure Beach, Stayed Works, then me, which is. But there's two Glenn Roberts. The reason I go by The Notable Stranger, because there's already a guy called Glenn Robertson who does Christian music or something like that. But they always put my name on rather than The Notable Stranger. So when you find it, there'll be all the hot ice stuff, all the theme park ride stuff, and then a weird Christian song. Which has got far more plays than any of my stuff.
But people think it's you. Even better.
Yeah. No, it's quite a good looking lad. The picture on it is quite a good looking lad. So if people think that's me, I'm quite happy with that.
Glenn, thank you for being my guest today. It's been incredible. Thanks for sharing your 10 tracks with us as well.
Oh, I've really enjoyed it, Sean. Thank you.
Best to you.
And to you.
Pretty vacant times.